Thanks, Manshu, and very kind introduction. I mean, I think the very heavy words, but overall, I'll just say the idea is to partner business, and as an HR professional, make people successful, make businesses successful, and make the HR community successful.
Sure. Thanks, Rohit. Rohit, we'll just directly move to the topic, the succession planning. I mean, we have been talking about it from ages. Many of us talk about it, hear it, but not everyone fully understand it. So, how would you define the succession planning from your perspective and with your experience? And why is it important for both the organization and the individual to go through this program?
So succession planning is not a new concept. It has evolved. It's been around for multiple decades, right? In a formal and informal way. Succession planning goes back to, if you look at companies, Indian companies, more than 100 years ago, right? Even there, you had succession planning was there. A father passed on the business to his son, the son to his son. In a way, that was succession planning. It was done in a very nascent way. It took shape and form, and it came to the corporate world in the 60s and 70s. In the Western world in the 80s and 90s, it really got crystallized, and we've seen it in India in the multinational corporations or Indian corporations. But we've seen succession planning play a very critical role. In simple words, it's two words, right? Succession planning. So who is going to be your successor? But it's more than that. If you ask me, it's about business continuity. Like today, why does a father, we call it, you may say those days it was nepotism, a father gave the business to his son. Obviously, yes, but why did he want to give the business? So that the business continues. One may say that you want the legacy passes on to the next generation because they want the generation to be successful. No, it's so that the business can continue and be successful. And that brings my point home here in today's day and world about business continuity, right? So succession planning is important for business continuity and to make sure business continuity. Hey, Manshu, you there? I mean, I see you on and
Yes, yes.
off, but
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, no worries. So, talking about business continuity, to ensure business continuity, we need to have replacement readiness, right? Why does succession plan become critical? Because to continue business, people run businesses, right? I know we are now heading in the world of AI, and very soon AI will run businesses, or at least help run businesses. But in as the world stands today, and you're looking at the midterm future and the past, people run businesses. And today, a person may be, I call it, I joke saying, are you hit by the lottery bus? So someone may just say, all right, man, I've suddenly made 20 crores, I'm going, bye. Or, today, people, sometimes I know organizations where a person can't get promoted because someone is not ready to take the job, right? Or, an ideal case, there are so many large corporations where people are today, many people who joined the workforce in the 90s when India was exploding are now heading towards retirement in the next 2 3 years. Who's going to take the position? So I call succession planning the process of building talent, right? Organizations have two choices when there's a talent vacancy: either you build it within or you buy it from outside. And the process of building talent is what I call succession planning, where at any given point, where there's a critical position which needs to be replaced for whatever reason, whether it's someone has resigned, taken another opportunity, promotions, retirement, whatever be the context, succession planning helps you know that business will continue very smoothly because you have a succession planning in a framework in work, because you've identified at least one or more potential replacements for an existing job holder. And it's never the person, it's the job. So it's never a Rohit or a Himanshu replacement. It is a HRBP replacement. It is an HR director replacement. So that is what is critical. And I think that is why I'd like to say, set the context with this tone.
Thanks, Rohit, for making it so simple. And I totally agree. I think the role is something which we always need to look at it from the criticality perspective and see how we can build the talents around that. And in case if we are not able to do it, then only go out in the market to find this right talent. Great. My second question, Rohit, what are the key qualities, behaviors, or experience that help distinguish employees with the potential to take on the future leadership role? What are those traits which you
You
look at when you're doing a succession plan?
see, so the answer is in the question, right? You use the word potential. Potential is the cornerstone of succession planning. And today's succession planning has evolved to a point where it starts at hiring. So today, when you hire a person, you hire with a mindset saying, in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years, what are the different roles this person can play? Right? Today, if you're hiring a manager, right, or a senior manager, or even a VP, I am very clear. Today, if I'm hiring a VP for my team, for my organization, I want to know at the time of hire that in 3 to 5 years, can this person become a senior vice president, or take on another role, or play a role of another VP if the person has to be temporarily indisposed. So, for me, criticality is at the time of hire. But once you're in, like I said, no, build talent. So, what are the attributes? So, for me, potential is a very big one. We already spoke about it. Where organizations typically tend to sometimes go wrong is they reward performance extensively. Great performers end up moving on to being somebody's replacement without assessing the potential, because you may be great in your current role and job and scope, but do you have the potential to take on whatever the next job role holds, right? Whether it's a lateral or a horizontal move, right, or a vertical move, that's immaterial. But so there has to be a very good mix of performance and potential. There has to be a creation of strong pipeline. Companies in the process of building talent have to do strong pipeline management. So for every person, the general market average is 2.2 to 2.5. So for every one person should have at least two or more people identified as a potential successor, right? And and again, this helps mitigate business risk. And again, coming back to your main question, what should be done? So I'll talk about the 70-20-10 model, right? 70-20-10 is where 10% comes through learning, through classroom. So you can say, okay, we need to make so many people into manager roles, or so many managers into technically qualified managers, or so many technically qualified senior managers into managers with AI readiness, right, and knowledge. So for me, it's a 70-20-10. 10 is what you do in a course. You and I can go to an IIM or an internal course and do, a great leadership program. But that's just the knowledge. After that comes a 20%, which is coaching, and 70%, which is on the job, right? How much stretch assignments you take. What is there a process of continuous feedback, especially when you've identified somebody to be a successor? Is there a process of continuous feedback? What level of business knowledge enhancement is the incumbent being put through, right? And most importantly, last, for me, the one trait which is has to come from within is hunger, Himanshu. You have to have the hunger to grow. You have to have the hunger to learn. You have to have the hunger to want to expand your own potential, right? So that is you cannot measure it. You can see it, right? The person's passion. And I keep telling all people, I have a succession planning framework, and there are various tools, nine blocker, X, Y, Z. Those are tools, right? We use, but ultimately it's about, like what I said, coach people, put them through the right programs, give them the right exposure. Let's see if they have the hunger, and those who have the hunger, feed them stretch assignments, give them feedback, enhance their business knowledge, and coach them to be mentors. Very good mentors will end up becoming very good leaders. So one of the traits of leadership and succession planning typically goes up into leadership roles eventually at some point. So make them mentors, and you see how beautifully they become leaders.
Sure. Thanks, Rohit. So I totally agree. I mean, especially the point which you talked about on the that hunger to excel, that aspiration which is required, which has to be within it. Otherwise, you can't push any individual. But yes, there has to be a proper roadmap, some sort of assistance which comes through the coaching, and then the most important aspect is the tool. We talked about nine box metrics. I still remember when I first time interacted with you on in this topic. You talked about your experience with the GE, the nine box matrix and so on.
Yeah.
So thanks,
Yeah.
Rohit. Thanks for bringing this up. The next question, Rohit, will be on once the potential future leaders are identified, what are some of the ways organization can help accelerate their development and prepare them for a larger responsibility? I know you have already answered that in your previous question portion of it, but if you can give some more insight in terms of what can be the how we can help and how we can build that roadmap and assist an employee to move up, that really helps.
So I'll tell you the challenge which I'm going through currently in my organization, Machu. We've got succession planning in place for a long time, but when we identify successors, we find that when they finally reach the role, they're not very successful. Not all of them. So we started assessing that what went wrong. We sent them to IIM. We put them through a leadership course. We did everything that we ticked lots of boxes, and then when the time came, we put them in those positions. Someone had gone for a sabbatical or something, I would put them to try. Some succeeded, some failed, to be very honest. So then we looked at the failure cases. And this is where I come back to 70-20-10. Right? In a learning journey, 10% is course material, classroom, the IIM course of 1 week, 10 days, 1 month. That is 10%. Right? What we realized is when these people came back, the identified successors, when they came back after whatever interventions or after they were identified, there was no curated, planned, those people who had managers who invested in them. Let's say I have identified, there's a successor identified or two or three identified for me. They may not be reporting to me, but their leaders, how much time are they investing in them? How much coaching and mentoring are they giving them? As an organization, how many opportunities are you giving them? You can say, great, Himanshu, you got great potential, buddy. I can see it in you. But how are you testing that potential? And potential can be tested in different scenarios. It can be very different. You can have a great potential for things when things go wrong, to hold things together, but maybe analytics is not your skill. And when the things go wrong, if that project needed amazing analytics skills and you don't have that, or you haven't been tested on that, chances are then you may not come out as a winner. So that 70% where the organization, once you've identified a successor or someone who's in the pipeline, for the individual and the organization both have to push that 70% and say, I need those, those, give me that exposure, whether it's coming through a stretch assignment or someone is having to shadow somebody else who's already fighting a fire, right? So you can just be a shadow. The firefighting is happening in corporate world every day. So go shadow somebody who understand a case study, and I come back to that. Have the hunger, right? Grow your knowledge. Have the hunger. So I've answered some of this, but I want to over-index on the 70-20-10 because I've seen failure. People go, yes, went to IIM, did a course. Next year went one more course. Third year one more course. Fourth year got the job, medium, mediocre, mid, didn't perform. That's where that other part comes in.
So thanks, man. That is really very insightful. Now, my question will be from the employee perspective. So, let's say as an employee, I would like to move into a leadership role or the next role for that matter, right? What step I should be taking to enhance the readiness and the positions which might be there for me in future?
Very, this is the most, like I said, hunger, hunger, hunger. Hunger is never the organization, hunger is the individual. But I'll now expand hunger a little. What is hunger? Hunger also means adaptability, right? If you're a leader who says, I will only take X kind of assignments, I will only grow in this track, and this is my vision, there is today the world is about adaptability. Specializations are gone. With AI coming in, with the digitization coming in, the job of super specialists is vanishing. The more adaptable you are, the more agile you are, the more successful you'll be in your learning journey. And you have to have learning agility, right? So learning agility, adaptability, vis-a-vis, specialization. Today, the world is rewarding potential. You see very young leaders, right? Because gone are the days of, okay, you have 30 years experience, so we'll give that value. No, you may have just 15 years experience, but if you have the potential, that will be valued more. This is the world of skill. So the skill, the potential. So what enhance your skills as an individual? My advice is keep enhancing your skills. Don't get lazy. Don't get complacent. Be agile in your learning journey. What you think is important today is obsolete tomorrow. So have that agility of change thought process, right? And be adaptable and don't wait for titles. You don't have to say, when I become a manager, I'll do manager giri. No, right? You A leader is, anybody can be a leader. Fresher out of university, first, an intern can be a leader. right? Leadership does not come with titles.